Hello everyone, it is the Gaming Weasel back again with another video. Now, today's video, of course, the best Warframe inside a Steel Path. Now, does this mean that every single other Warframe inside of the game is utterly useless inside a Steel Path and you shouldn't play any other Warframe besides this one? No, of course I'm not saying that. I'm saying that this Warframe, in my personal opinion, is the best Warframe and the only Warframe basically that I use inside a Steel Path. You know, maybe a couple exceptions here and there, but for survival and some defense missions and also excavation missions, I do love using this Warframe. Now, before we actually name the Warframe, couple of cool stuff that I want to tell you guys about. Leaving a like, a subscribe, and also a comment is greatly appreciated by me, the YouTuber that you're currently watching. So I would greatly appreciate if you enjoy the content on this channel that you subscribe, like, and comment something maybe that you think I should have changed about the Warframe itself. But the Warframe, which one is it? It is, of course, Nidus and Nidus Prime. Now, why Nidus? Well, Nidus as a Warframe itself, he is pretty tanky enough. He has health, he doesn't have shields, he has a decent sum of armor as well. Not the best armor pool, but honestly, 450 for the Prime variant is honestly pretty good. And also, he can gain energy back. He can give himself damage reduction, he can heal himself through one of his abilities, and he can do a half the amount of damage. And also, your primary can as well with an augment that we are going to be talking about. Now, Nidus. Nidus as a base Warframe is really hard to get, honestly. I don't really like the way you get him. It was quite a long time ago. But the Prime variant is much easier to get, so if you do not have the Warframe, you can definitely get the Prime variant much easier. Now, passives. He has two passives, Mutation Stacks and Undying. Now, mutation stacks are something that you gain by casting your abilities on enemies. We have Virulence and Ravenous. These will give you your mutation stacks, and also Larva has a 50% chance of getting your mutation stacks. I'll get into the nitty-gritty of these when I actually talk about the abilities. So, it is divided into 5 sections. Every single hit is counted as one section, and honestly, you're gonna get these mutation stacks pretty goddamn fast. Now, the more mutation stacks that you have, the better the damage is going to be on your Virulence and on Ravenous's Maggot Explosion. So, the more stacks you have, the more damage you do with Virulence and Ravenous's Maggots. So, that is quite cool. Undying. Undying is the second passive of, what's his name? Nidus, and if you suffer fatal damage with at least 15 stacks of mutation, Nidus will consume those 15 stacks, avoid bleed out, and getting 5 seconds of invulnerability and restoring 50% of his HP. Basically what this means, you cannot die with Nidus or Nidus Prime. You can use this, I guess, passive as many times as you like, as long as you have 15 stacks. Now, the maximum stacks that you can get is 100, so keep that in mind. So basically, you can die up to, wait, let me see, 4, okay, you can die around 5 times, if I am correct, and I think I am. You can die up to 5 times, but in that span, you are going to get more mutation stacks, so you don't have to worry about that. So, we have basically Undying on our side. We have a decent sum of damage, a buff to our primary, we have damage reduction, and we also have healing. What else would you possibly want inside of Warframe? So, the first ability, Virulence. You stomp the ground with your first ability, and then you do puncture damage as your base damage on enemies that are, I guess, found inside of that trail or thing, Virulence path, I guess we'll call it that, or the fungi, whatever you want to call them. Now you get a 25% energy refund per enemy hit. This is not dependent on your power strength, it is always 25%. So the more enemies that you get and hit, it is going to reward you more and more energy. Now, the first two abilities that I want to say use up energy, the last two don't, and I'll get into those in a second, but you need your energy back. What do? You cast a larva, which is the second ability. It spawns an infested pod, and then it drags up enemies in a certain radius, depending on your power range, or your ability range, and then it drags them all into this little one bubble, I guess, or this larva, or infested pod, or whatever you want to call it, and then you cast your Virulence on it, and basically you get a lot of energy back, and then you get a lot of mutation stacks back as well. Now this is very, very useful, especially inside a steel path, because there are more enemies inside a steel path. Now, Parasitic Link is the first ability that does not use energy. It costs 1 mutation stack. Casting Parasitic Link on an ally will give you bonus to power strength. Casting it on an enemy will give you damage reduction. Of course, it is dependent on your power strength as well and your duration. The enemy and ally link is different, so the ally is 40 meters and the enemy is 20 meters, so keep that in mind. After that distance, it will cut off the link. And Ravenous, one of the best abilities that Nidus has. You summon a grassy little field with tiny little maggots that will start chewing on your enemies, on their feet, on their legs, on their bodies. They will start attacking them. The maximum number of maggots is 9, I think. They do base toxin damage, and once this ability runs out, I'm clarifying this, and by the way, this ability uses 3 mutation stacks. Once this ability runs out, it does an explosion radius. That, of course, the damage is dependent on how many stacks you already have. Now, if you cast this ability again without it actually running out, this explosion will not happen in the end. The maggots do not explode, the grass doesn't explode, and basically you skip out on a lot of deadly damage. Now, you might be saying, well, what if I want to farm Steel Essence? Then this Warframe is basically useless because he is not core, he does not increase your chances of getting those drops. Well, honestly, even when I'm farming Steel Essence, the chances of me getting more with Korra and not... I don't honestly have that much fun with Korra, in my honest opinion. Nidus is an active Warframe, and honestly, the only other Warframe that I would maybe stake into Steel Path is Octavia. But I'm a person who loves casting my abilities all the time, having fun, moving around, killing enemies, shooting enemies, and so on and so forth. So that's why I adore Nidus inside of the Steel Path. And also, one thing that is very, very beneficial, the teaming Virulence Augment. Virulence Augment, hitting 4 enemies with Virulence grants 120% primary weapon critical chance for 15 seconds. This is honestly a very, very good ability, the Augment mod, sorry, and this makes all the difference, believe me. I love using this. The build looks like this, as you can see on the screen right there. Pretty basic and simple build, but teaming Virulence makes this much, much better, honestly. And killing the Acolyte, if you're using, for example, when I use the Tenant Envoy, there's no enemies around the actual, what's his name, the enemy, I forgot what it's called. Yeah, you know what enemy I'm talking about. With teaming Virulence, I can literally one-shot them with the Tenant Envoy. I was using the Archoplasmor, the Tenant Archoplasmor here, and it took me a little bit longer. But this augment makes the difference on Nidus for me. And this is why I loved it, because your abilities do a lot of damage when you have a decent amount of stacks. You can heal yourself, you have damage reduction, you have primary critical chance, which is simply incredible, and also you can kill the Acolytes in literally, it's just a breeze killing them. Having a resource booster and Smita Kavat, basically you can get up to 8 Steel Essence, so Korra is basically unnecessary for this farming guide, I guess, or this best Warframe video. So yeah, Nidus and Nidus Prime. I definitely would recommend you pick them up. I'm not saying, as I said, the other Warframes are pretty bad. I just love Nidus in this aspect, and that's why. So, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed, definitely leave a like, a comment, and do subscribe for more. And I will see you guys on the next one. This has been the Gaming Weasel, over and out.